Coming up next, a rising star whose costume exploded into flames on set. A helicopter that tore through an actor mid-scene, killing 3 people instantly. A Hollywood legend who collapsed during a sword fight while cameras kept rolling. A beloved comedian who died rehearsing lines, his castmates thinking it was all part of the act. And a stunt gone so wrong, the fatal footage was used in the final movie. These aren't just accidents. These are the dark secrets Hollywood fought to erase. 1. Brandon Lee. The Crow. Hollywood called it a freak accident. But was it really? Brandon Lee, son of the legendary Bruce Lee, was supposed to be the next big action star. While filming The Crow in 1993, a prop gun malfunctioned. What was meant to be a blank turned deadly. Brandon collapsed on set, the crew thinking it was just part of the scene. He never got back up. The truth? Corners were cut. Safety checks ignored. And when Brandon died at just 28, the studio rushed to finish the film, using doubles and CGI to mask the tragedy. His death mirrored his father's mysterious passing, and fans couldn't help but whisper, was this an accident or a curse? Hollywood said move on, but this accident remains one of the industry's darkest stains. 2. Vic Morrow, Twilight Zone, the movie. July 23, 1982. Actor Vic Morrow was filming a war scene with 2 child actors in California. Explosives went off too close, causing a helicopter to lose control. Within seconds, its blades tore through the set, killing Morrow and the 2 children instantly. The cameras captured everything. The studio tried desperately to bury the footage, paying families off and pushing blame around. Director John Landis faced trial for manslaughter but walked free. Hollywood called it a tragic accident. But the truth is darker. Illegal child labor, reckless stunts, and profit over safety. Morrow's last words on set were chilling. "I've got to be crazy to do this shot. I should have asked for a double." Seconds later, he was dead. 3. Martha Mansfield. The Warrens of Virginia. It was 1923. Rising star Martha Mansfield was filming in San Antonio, Texas, dressed in a Civil War costume. During a break, she sat in a car when someone carelessly tossed a lit match. Her massive, flammable dress caught fire instantly. Martha was engulfed in flames before anyone could react. By the time they ripped the dress off, it was too late. She died the next day at only 24. The studio downplayed the tragedy, blaming bad luck. But questions remained. Why were actors forced to wear such dangerous costumes without precautions? Why wasn't fire safety on set? Martha's career was just beginning. Instead, Hollywood erased her from memory, as if her death was an inconvenience, not a cautionary tale. 4. Bruce Lee. Enter the Dragon. Bruce Lee's on-set accidents remain shrouded in mystery. During the Enter the Dragon, he collapsed repeatedly, sweating, dizzy, and racked with pain. He even passed out during dubbing sessions. Doctors warned him, but the studio kept pushing. Production delays meant millions of dollars lost, and Bruce was the golden ticket. On July 20th, 1973, Bruce was found unconscious after taking a painkiller. He never woke up. The official cause, cerebral edema. But rumors spread fast. Triad involvement, foul play, or even Hollywood itself silencing him because he was becoming too powerful. The truth may never be known. What we do know is that Bruce was working to exhaustion, his health ignored. His final film became a global success, but at what cost? 5. Oliver Reed Gladiator. Filming Gladiator. In 1999, Oliver Reed was known for his wild drinking. But on set in Malta, he pushed his limits. After downing pint after pint and challenging sailors to arm wrestling, Reed collapsed from a fatal heart attack. He was 61. The studio panicked. Gladiator was unfinished, and Reed's character was crucial. The solution? CGI his face onto a body double. The technology was groundbreaking, but also eerie, almost disrespectful. Instead of honoring Reed, Hollywood used him like a prop. His final moments were reduced to a technical problem to fix. The tragedy? He had promised this would be his last drunken binge. He never made it to the finish line. 6. Steve McQueen. The Great Escape. McQueen was the king of cool, but also addicted to danger. On the set of The Great Escape, he insisted on performing his own motorcycle stunts. One scene involved leaping over a barbed wire fence. The studio begged him not to try it, but McQueen was stubborn. The bike crashed violently, tossing him across the ground. He narrowly avoided paralysis. The accident was hushed up. Studios feared headlines about reckless stars. They quietly brought in stuntman Bud Eakins to complete the infamous jump. For decades, fans believed McQueen did it himself. The truth only leaked much later. Hollywood protected its image, at the expense of the man they called their golden boy. 7. Tyrone Power, Solomon and Sheba. Handsome, beloved Tyrone Power was filming an intense sword fight for Solomon and Sheba in 1958 when he suddenly collapsed. Crew members thought he was just acting, but Power had suffered a massive heart attack mid-scene. He died within an hour at just 44. The studio refused to halt production. They recast his role with Yul Brynner and quietly continued filming. Power's last performance was erased, his tragic final moments discarded. For Hollywood, the movie mattered more than the man. Fans were left asking, how could a star's death on set be treated like a scheduling problem? 8. John Ritter. 8. Simple Rules. John Ritter wasn't filming a dangerous stunt. He was simply rehearsing lines on the set of 8 Simple Rules in 2003 when he suddenly clutched his chest. At first, people thought he was joking. Ritter was known for his comedic timing, but within minutes, he collapsed. Doctors later revealed he had suffered an aortic dissection, a rare tear in the heart's main artery. He died that same night, only 54 years old. The studio spun the tragedy into silence, continuing the show with rewrites as if nothing had happened. Ritter's final moments, confused, sudden, shocking, were erased in favor of ratings. Fans were heartbroken, but Hollywood moved on quickly. His death became another accident filed away in the shadows. 9. Heath Ledger, The Dark Knight. During filming, Ledger threw himself into the role of the Joker with terrifying intensity. Insomnia gripped him. He was barely sleeping 2 hours a night, haunted by the character he created. On-set accidents weren't physical, they were mental. Ledger confided to crew members that he couldn't shut his mind off. After production wrapped, Ledger was found dead in his apartment from an accidental overdose of prescription drugs. The studio denied responsibility, painting it as a tragic personal matter. But insiders knew the truth. He was pushed to extremes, working without rest, his body failing under pressure. Hollywood cashed in on The Dark Knight's billion-dollar success, but Ledger paid the ultimate price. 10. Natalie Wood. Brainstorm. In 1981, Natalie Wood was filming Brainstorm when her mysterious death shocked Hollywood. During a break from shooting, she boarded her yacht with a husband, Robert Wagner, and co-star Christopher Walken. That night, she vanished. Hours later, her body was found floating in the water. The official story: she drowned. But bruises on her body and shifting witness statements fueled speculation. Was it an accident or something darker? Production was halted, but MGM pushed to finish the film anyway, using doubles and editing tricks to disguise her absence. To this day, her death remains one of Hollywood's most suspicious on-set accidents. The truth may have been buried with her. 11. James Dean. Rebel, Without a Cause. Dean's obsession with speed was legendary. During breaks from filming Rebel Without a Cause, he raced his Porsche 550 Spider. Warned repeatedly by friends and studio heads, he ignored the dangers. On September 30th, 1955, Dean's car collided head-on with another vehicle. He was killed instantly at just 24. The studio scrambled. Rebel Without a Cause hadn't been released yet. Marketing shifted overnight. Dean was no longer the rising star. He became the tragic legend. The accident was exploited. His death turned into a selling point. For Hollywood, Dean's crash wasn't just a loss. It was free publicity. 12. Isla Fisher. Now You See Me. During a water escape stunt in Now You See Me, Isla Fisher was chained inside a tank. The trick was meant to look dangerous but safe, except it wasn't. The release mechanism jammed. For nearly 3 minutes, she struggled for breath as the cameras rolled, crew members assuming it was part of the act. Finally, someone realized she wasn't pretending. Fisher was yanked out, coughing and terrified. She narrowly avoided drowning. The studio downplayed the story, claiming safety was always under control. But the truth? A major Hollywood actress almost died on camera, and no one noticed until it was nearly too late. 13. George Clooney. Syriana. While filming a torture scene in Syriana, 2005, Clooney suffered a brutal on-set injury. Tied to a chair, he fell backward, smashing his head. The impact tore his dura, the membrane around the spine. The pain was so excruciating, Clooney later admitted he considered suicide. He He spent weeks unable to function, plagued by migraines and memory loss. The studio? They barely acknowledged it. Clooney was forced into surgery and the accident was swept under the rug. For Hollywood, even its biggest stars weren't worth slowing down production. Clooney recovered, but he has lived with permanent damage ever since. 14. Charlize Theron. Aeon Flux. Theron nearly lost her career filming Aeon Flux in 2004. Attempting a backflip stunt, she landed on her neck. The impact herniated a disc dangerously close to her spinal cord. For weeks, she couldn't move properly, fearing permanent paralysis. Production shut down for months, but the studio downplayed the seriousness, calling it a minor delay. In truth, Theron was one wrong move away from being paralyzed for life. Instead of acknowledging the near tragedy, the accident was hidden. Few know that the blockbuster almost cost Charlize not just her career, but her ability to walk. 15. Jackie Chan. Armor of God. Known for doing his own stunts, Jackie Chan pushed boundaries like no other. While filming Armor of God in 1986, he attempted a simple jump from a wall to a tree branch. The branch snapped. Jackie plummeted headfirst onto rocks. His skull cracked open, bone piercing his brain. He needed emergency surgery, leaving a metal plate in his head. The studio buried the accident, focusing instead on marketing Jackie as fearless. But the truth was horrifying. He nearly died. Chan admitted later he still feels numbness in parts of his body. That one jump, meant to thrill audiences, almost ended one of the most legendary careers in cinema. 16. Bela Lugosi. Plan 9. From outer space. Bela Lugosi, the man who defined Dracula, was battling morphine addiction and failing health when he accepted a role in Plan 9 from outer space. Midway through filming, he collapsed and died of a heart attack in 1956. The director, Ed Wood, refused to scrap the movie. Instead, he hired his wife's chiropractor, who looked nothing like Lugosi, to finish the role, covering his face with a cape in every scene. The result? A bizarre patchwork of footage, with Lugosi's final moments erased by cheap tricks. Hollywood never mourned him properly. Instead of honoring his legacy, they reduced him to a stand-in gag, hiding his tragic death beneath layers of bad filmmaking. 17. Marilyn Monroe. Something's Got to Give. By 1962, Marilyn Monroe was already fragile, mentally and physically. On the set of Something's Got to Give, she struggled with exhaustion, illness, and constant studio pressure. She often arrived late, sometimes not at all. Then came the breaking point. Marilyn collapsed on set, visibly ill. Production was halted repeatedly until the studio finally fired her. Weeks later, she was found dead in her Brentwood home. Officially, it was probable suicide, but many believed she was pushed past her limits, a casualty of Hollywood's relentless demands. The film was shelved, only fragments of Marilyn's final performance surviving. Her last role became a ghost, just like her. 18. Paul Mance. The Flight of the Phoenix. In 1965, veteran stunt pilot Paul Mance was hired to fly a makeshift aircraft for the Flight of the Phoenix. The stunt involved a dangerous touch-and-go landing, but the plane broke apart on impact, flipping violently. Mance was killed instantly, his body crushed. The tragedy was so horrific the studio tried to cover it up by quickly hiring another pilot and pushing forward. The final film was released as if nothing happened, dedicated vaguely to the men who gave their lives for aviation. Mance was reduced to a footnote, his sacrifice buried beneath Hollywood's profits. 19. Roy Kinnear. The Return of the Musketeers. In 1988, actor Roy Kinnear was filming a horseback scene in Spain. His horse slipped on cobblestones, throwing him violently to the ground. Kinnear broke his pelvis and died from internal bleeding the next day. He was only 54. The production was in chaos. Instead of halting, the studio hired a double and used voice impersonation to finish Kinnear's scenes. His death was swept aside, treated like an obstacle to work around rather than the devastating loss of a beloved actor. Fans were outraged, but Hollywood shrugged. 20. Harry O'Connor, CE6, stuntman. Harry O'Connor was doubling for Vin Diesel during Texas 2002. Performing a paragliding stunt over Prague, O'Connor slammed into a bridge at over 80 miles per hour. He died instantly. Shockingly, the cameras kept rolling. And the fatal crash footage was so spectacular, the director actually used part of it in the final film. Instead of honoring O'Connor, the studio turned his death into entertainment. To this day, few realize that one of the film's most thrilling stunts was in reality a man's final moments. It was not just an accident. It was exploitation. These weren't just accidents. They were tragedies hidden in the shadows of Hollywood. The studios may have erased the evidence, but the scars remain. So tell me, when the cameras roll, do you still see entertainment? Or the danger they never